Hey, and welcome back to some more Vintage Cube. Vintage Cube is about to come back to Magic the Gathering Online here in the summer of 2022. So let's dive back into one of the drafts from this last season, and I'm super excited about this draft and this deck. And here for pick one, pack one, we are faced with going Gaia's Cradled or Fractured Identity, I think. A lot of great options, but Fractured Identity is just such a bonkers card. I have a previous video on how broken this card is, and it can just turn games around for you or seal the deal if you are at parity or already ahead. So let's pick one, pack one, this white-blue Fractured Identity, and then bam, Flooded Strand right off the top for second pack. I think that's exactly what we want if we pick a white-blue card first, is to get some premium white-blue fixing. Pack three, again, looking to go a little control-y with that first pick Fractured Identity. There is an Urza Saga here and a Lotus Petal. I really like this Mystic Confluence and Remand though. There's also a Tamiyo Completed Sage for that blue-green Planeswalker control-y, but Remand is just such a great card for value. I'm really trying to decide between Remand and Urza Saga. If we pick up the Saga, maybe we can get this Lotus Petal to wheel, but I think the safer pick is going to be this Remand. I know it's going to make the deck. I know it's going to do what I want it to do every time we play it. So let's just take this blue counterspell. Pack four, ooh, there's a Venser, another great tempo card, and kind of it's the only blue card left in the pack, so this will definitely show a signal to our left. Other option here is Gideon Jura if we want to go some bigger Planeswalker, but Venser is a great utility card here to flash in and bounce your opponent's spell. There's a Dreamroot Cascade, a Wasteland, and a Portent, but I'm kind of eyeing this Oracle of Moldai over here. Trying to decide, this Portent could be a decent draw spell. I mean, it's not the greatest though. It's pretty much the weakest cantrip the blue has. But on second thought, that Oracle, we could just hedge into green. Oracle is such a great card. Really help us get those lands onto the battlefield. So let's pick that up and see what else we can get here. A lot of great options in this pack. You can see right in the right colors for white, green, and blue. And here's what's coming around. And right now I'm looking at this Elite Spellbinder or the Wandering Emperor. I think Elite Spellbinder is just a great way to put some pressure on your opponent while disrupting their game plan. Either one of these cards would be great. Who knows? Maybe one will wheel. Let's pick up the Elite Spellbinder. And then there's Horizon Canopy for white-green to kind of help us out with that Oracle Moldai Hedge. There's also a Pest Infestation. Don't sleep on that card. Check out my other video on Pest Infestation. That card is bonkers. And then Hallowed Fountain coming around. Love to see it. Disenchant, Chart a Course, or Restoration of a Ganjo. I don't think we're on the Mirari's Wake plan. Not going that big. I think we can just take the draw spell here. We don't have it much. We don't have any card draw right now. And Chart a Course can just help us get some of those extra cards to look at. Disenchant also a valid option, even main boardable here in the Vintage Cube, but Chart a Course, we can have it hit the deck here. Mother of Ruins, Overgrown Farmland. I think the Overgrown Farmland's our pick here. Again, just helping out that green hedge. Don't need an off-color Signet, and we're not aggressive white, so Spirit Heliad or Mother of Ruins isn't really what we're looking for. So pretty much only choice here is the land. Always happy to pick up a land in the draft. Esper Sentinel coming around. There's that Lotus Petal. Had we picked up the Urza Saga, but since we didn't, Esper Sentinel can hit the deck. And then here's a Dam, actually. We could just use it as a Wrath of God. We have 4 creatures right now, and a good board wipe if we're looking to go some, Bant Control is going to be pretty decent. Baneslayer for the board in case we run up against it. Oh, wow. Wandering Emperor, 14th pick. Oh, man. Undervalued. Criminally undervalued. All right, let's get into pack 2. All right. Ancestral Recall. There's the card draw for you. Ding, ding. Also a Breeding Pool, a Daze, and a Jite. Never sleep on that Jite. Doubt any of those cards will wheel. Happy to pick up the Ancestral Recall. perfect card draw spell. And then this pack, wow, we got a Path to Exile, a Mox Diamond, Botanical Sanctum, even a Sylvan Caryatid. I think the choice is between Mox Diamond and Path, but let's get Mox. It's going to fix us for all 3 colors. It's going to ramp us. It's kind of the perfect artifact we want to get here. I guess an on-color actual Mox would be better, but... And then again, the hits just keep coming. There's a Palace Jailer and a Windswept Heath and a Tundra. Love all of those cards. I think Palace Jailer is just too strong. Our 4-drop slot is getting a little fat, but not going to pass a Palace Jailer. Card is about as broken as Fractured Identity. Not quite, but almost. All right, what else we got going on? Ooh, a 3 fairy. All right. We can ruin somebody's fun with a 3-mana Planeswalker. Love to see it. And then here's a Geist and a Karakas. I kind of like this Karakas. It's just a free planes for our deck, and it can really turn off an opponent's strategy like Reanimator or something crazy like Through the Breach or something like that. So far, this green hedge not looking super great. Here's probably a mispick. There's a Blade Splicer and an Adonto and a Thirst. I don't think we need more card draw since we have Ancestral. There's also a Ramunap Excavator. We don't have any land destruction quite yet. I believe there's a Wasteland that was going around. Maybe that was in pack 1. But I'm trying to decide between this Adonto and the Ramunap. And the other part that the Ramunap could help us with is just with our fetch lands, keep replaying that Flooded Strand. So let's hedge a little bit more on green, see what comes around. Don't have to commit to this. Here's a Lion Sash versus a Relic. There is a Verdant Catacombs, but it is an off-color fetch a little bit, and it doesn't get something like Hallowed Fountain. So let's get the Lion Sash. Could be useful. Ooh, there's a Laelia coming around. If someone's in red, they're going to love that. But here's Force of Negation, which is just nice for our deck. Ooh, Mana Tithe, Knight of Autumn. Which kind of disruptive spell do we want? I think we're more, again, I want to hedge more towards green a little bit. Mana Tithe is great and all, but I think I want to get the utility out of Knight of Autumn. Help us find a way to, blow up our opponent's artifacts. There's a Thragtusk versus an Usher. I don't really want to be on the aggressive game plan. Thragtusk could help us stabilize. There's a Sun Titan for the board. Our curve is a little high here. Definitely fat at the 4 mana value spot. And Tangle Wire not looking great. Concealed Court, no good. I guess we pick up an Eater Virtue. Ooh, a Geist of St. Traff. That's going to be perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for. And there's the Adonto Wheeling. So we didn't even have to make a choice there between the Ramunap and the Adonto. So, all right, let's get into pack 3 and see how we can close this thing out. There's 5 mana to Fairy and a Sower, 4 mana Elspeth. There's also Birds of Paradise. I don't know if this is a great pick. We're going to pick up the birds here just because it fixes for every color, but getting green mana turn 1 is not super likely. Green is really just a splash, and at that part, we don't even know if we need to play green at all. So I don't really like this pick 1, pack 3. Something like Cryptic or Teferi or even 4 mana Elspeth would definitely be better. So again, a little error right there, I think. A little too much hedge on green. Here's a Sheldock Isle. Definitely don't want Questing Beast with 2 green pips. There's a Urza's, but we don't have a lot of artifacts. So I think the answer here is the Sheldock, and that can really help us out here if we have some higher mana value spells. Prismatic Vista, love to see it. It's going to fix for all our colors, and that's definitely what we're looking for right now. If we're playing a 3-color deck, you want lots of fixing. There's a Glen and a Swords and a Chrome Mox. Chrome Mox is interesting. Don't have really a lot of removal right now, so I think Swords to Plowshares is where we want to be. It's the best removal spell. And right after we pick up a Swords, a Council's Judgment gets wheeled to us. We're not an upheaval deck, not looking to pick up Raphelos. Again, don't want the Elder Gargaroth because of the 2 green mana pips. Don't need Lyra because we already have the other Angel. So I think the only realistic choice for us here is the Council's Judgment, and I'm happy to pick up the Council's Judgment as another unconditional removal spell for Troublesome Permanent. There's Preordain. if we don't want Portent, Preordain is probably the way we want to go. There's also a Hero and a Gideon, but we're so fat on 4 and 3 mana value spells right now that I think a 1 mana value draw spell like Preordain is where we want to be. In addition to the Ancestral Recall, you know, we could play the Preordain over the Chart of Course or something like that. Here's a Flicker Wisp, about the only card that makes sense. Again, don't want the Eternal Witness because of the 2 green mana pips. Murktide, not looking like we have really enough instants and sorcery, so Flicker Wisp was where it's at. Don't know if it'll make the desk. Always love to try to Flicker Wisp your Thragtusk or Palace Jailer or something crazy like that. And there's a Tropical Island. Oh, snap that up. Doesn't even matter what else was in the pack. That makes our Flooded Strand be able to get green as well. That was perfect. Perfect dual land for us. Sower versus Elspeth. I think Elspeth is stronger, and I like the Planeswalkers. There's just so much utility. Lurrus coming around, land tax coming around. All these cards not going to make the deck. We can throw land tax in the board. Condemn could make the deck. Throw it in the sideboard for now, though. Resto, about the only card here for us. Don't know if we can play it or not, but again, could possibly live the dream there with Resto, a Thragtusk, or a Palace Jailer. Ooh, well, here's a decision. Archon. I've never played with that card before, and I don't know if it's any good or not. I don't think it's good, but this is kind of the deck to try it out in, I think. So, rounding out pack 3, let's build this thing. All right, here's how the deck ended up. Got some decent mana fixing, really powerful 4 mana value spells, and a lot of great utility spells like Remand or Swords. We got an Ancestral Recall hiding in there as well. So let's take this Bant Control deck. We're going to go straight to the feature match. This is going to be game 2, and it is very epic. So let's jump straight into that game. All right, here we are in the feature match. We are on the play, playing against Verug, and don't think we can keep this first hand. Get a mulligan, send it on back. This one we can keep, though. We have some mana acceleration in the Birds of Paradise and a Prismatic Vista to go get it. So putting back the island or the plains can go to the bottom. Again, we're on the draw, planning to lead out on this Prismatic Vista to fetch up a forest and get the bop down turn 1. Looks like our opponent's on the black manas. Gonna duress us and gonna feel super sad that it just misses everything. They do get to see our hand, but man, that's got to feel bad, opponent. Geist is an okay draw, as we will be able to play that turn 3 if we play our mana correctly here, but let's lead out on the, actually, we'll be able to play that turn 2. So we get the bop out. No, yeah, and then next turn we can play the the island or the Flooded Strand. We can go get like the Hallowed Fountain. Dark Confident for the opponent. That'll get them some card draw, but let's get this Geist down. Turn 2 Geist is pretty good. Now, we will have to attack into the Dark Confident, so we'll see what's going on here. Our opponent does draw a Shelldock out off Bob. So Esper for the opponent. Swords to Plowshares would be a great draw. Anything to get this Dark Confident. I just want to attack cleanly with this Geist. If that doesn't happen, we could get the Oracle down, as that will allow us to play 2 lands next turn. All right, opponent getting frisky, getting in with the Bob. No blocks on our end. And then second main phase, Skyclave Shade, which can't block. So happy to see that. Okay, and a Giver of Ruins. All right. So opponent getting a little aggressive. Second land draw for us, flooding out just a little bit. But if we get this Oracle down, that'll take care of 2 of these lands. Should probably attack and then play Oracle second main. Definitely want to hold the Flooded Strand, I think, for now. So let's get in there. And we can deal 6 to our opponent. If they'd like to block with the Giver, fine by me. Bam, take 6, opponent. The other option we have is to get a little frisky with this Adanto. And let's do that for now, because what we'll be able to do is by playing this way, we'll be able to play Oracle without playing a land drop, and then we can get 2 looks at the top of our deck with the Flooded Strand. So I kind of like that. Grief. All right, well, Oracle's gonna not be long for this world. Our opponent will see what's up, and that is that we only have 2 lands in hand here. Maybe we can get aggressive? I don't know. That Giver Rune's going to be causing us some problems for sure. Now, I will block with this Adanto and pay the 4 life. I'd love to just get this Skyclave off the board. They could have used the Giver there to protect their Skyclave. They chose not to, probably because the Skyclave can be played from the graveyard. All right, we've drawn nothing but lands. So gonna have to get a couple spells going here, something. Now, the opponent can block the Geist and give one of their creatures protection with the Giver if they choose to. Yep, all right, gonna protect Bob there. So Geist is gonna go to the graveyard, and we'll play the Flooded Strands to try and fetch, thin the deck out a little bit, but we're gonna need some help. We need a spell here. We've drawn 3 lands off the top, and our opponent's drawn 3 lands with the Bob, so Bob doing a lot of great work. We do have the opponent down to 7. All right, they are going to potentially play their Skyclave from the graveyard. 5 damage coming to us. Do we want to block the Bob with the Birds of Paradise is the question. Birds will ramp us to 6 mana, which the only 6 mana value card we have. Oh, wow, and they're attacking with the Giver as well. All right. The only 6 mana value card we have is the Archon of Valor's Reach. So let's thin our deck just a touch here. I guess we can get this Hollow Fountain tapped and really hope we draw a spell off the top. Ooh, another play. All right, so then they're going to flash in Solitude. So that's going to give them some life, or it's going to give us some life. And our attacker's off the battlefield. Preordain. All right. Let's scry 2 and draw and see what we can get here. Ooh, neither one of these are great. We're well away from Shelldock and definitely do not need another land. Now, Fractured Identity, that is a card. So if we fracture the Solitude, we will be able to exile one of the cards, one of the other creatures on our opponent has. It's probably the Grief or the Giver. I'm happy for them to keep Dark Confident out because their own Dark Confident may just kill them. Now they will gain some life. All right, so we'll exile the Grief here. That'll give him 3 life. Giver may have been a better target, but we'll see. We can block with this Solitude to gain life for ourselves. Good old Fractured Identity. Basically going to be a 3-for-1 potentially here. So they play their own Shelldock. They got another Marsh Flats, or they got another land off Bob. So Bob has drawn them 4 lands, which has been amazing for their life total. And they are going to cast their Skyclave from the graveyard, unkicked. Are they going to attack is the question. No. All right, their Giver of Runes, pretty good shield against stuff that we have. But here is a Flying Vigilance Trample Archon. That was a pretty sweet draw, our 6 mana value spell, top end of our deck. The problem is, let's see, Giver is going to be able to get the Skyclave unblockable. Well, we're going to play the Archon. The question is, what do we name? Artifact, enchantment, instant sorcery, or planeswalker? I think we name... Oh, all right, they Mana Tithe. All right, well, we can pay the 1 with this Bop. Whew. Glad I played our land there before playing Archon. Getting this Mana Tithe would have been very awkward. We'll name sorcery, play around something like Wrath of God or some kill spells. We do have instants, like I would like to play my own Ancestral Recall, should we draw it. Can attack, not with the Giver untapped. And we got ourselves a little bit of game here. Unfortunately, we are drawn off the top, and our opponent is getting 2 draws per turn. All right, they draw a Ravenous Chupacabra, deals them 4 damage, but that is a pretty clean answer to the Archon. Yep, get in here, Chupacabra. Archon down. Okay, so Archon didn't really do anything there. There's not really any ETB effect. So 6 mana value into Ephemerate. All right, well, that's going to clean our board. And I don't know if we're going to come back from this one. They'd have to, let's see, they can attack us for 6. They'd have to hit a 6 mana value spell off the top with Bob and lose to it. They got really good draws with Bob, but we kind of flooded out and they drew a lot of lands off Bob and did pretty well there. We could have picked a different card to exile with Council's Judgment, probably a day late and $1 short, to be honest with you, as Giver Rune is untapped. So we will concede game 1 and we'll jump into game 2. All right, we're here in game 2. We're down a game. Let's see if we can pick one up. In sideboarding, I brought in Lion Sash to deal with our opponent's Skyclave Shade and took out a Council's Judgment. This looks slow, but we do have all of our colors of mana here in this hand. I don't know if this is worth keeping or not. We would have no play until turn 3. We just have to be able to do better. And is this better? We can keep it. We can probably keep it on the back of Horizon Canopy and just really hope that we draw something really decent here off the top. We will get down the Shelldock Isle and we can put the Lion Sash under there. Hopefully we'll be able to get below 20 cards so we can use it. And might as well get a Mox Diamond out here. Next turn, planning on cracking the Horizon Canopy. I did not want to lose that Mox Diamond to a Duress. That's why we played. Our opponent plays Blood Crypt tapped. And now we have the option to play a 4/3 Knight of Autumn. I think that's what we want to do. Let's go fetch out. Let's get a white source and let's get our 4/3 on the battlefield. Mox Diamond showing its value. Definitely don't need to gain the 4 life. This will put some pressure on our opponent. They'll have to deal with this. And we can likely play Horizon Canopy to draw a card next turn. I love these draw lands. They're really great. I hope WotC finishes the cycle. Okay, Black Lotus from our opponent. Pretty strong. How punished are we going to get here? The Scarab God. Yeah, that's a really good one. All right, Preordain off the top was a decent draw. Remand a little late. And Overgrown Farmland also not really necessary here. So let's bottom both of those. We do get a Tropical Island, which we cannot play yet. I'm sorry, we do draw an Oracle, but we cannot play it. So let's sack the Horizon Canopy. We get a Venser off the top. So making a game plan here, Venser can take care of the Scarab God, and they do not have the mana to recast it right now. Okay, they get a Jite on the battlefield. All right, well, let's take 5 from this Scarab God. Wish I had a Knight of Autumn to kill this Jite. We could get pretty greedy here and just wait for them to try to equip the Scarab God with Jite, and I think that's my plan. We need to gain as much advantage with this Venser as much as we can. We will also hold up Force of Negation this way, which we can hard cast. Luckily, there's no creatures in the graveyard for the Scarab God to do shenanigans with. And if our opponent goes to equip, yep, they do. And we will be able to Venser this Scarab God here before it deals damage. And they will not be able to recast that. So hopefully no Mana Tithe. All right, Mana Tithe. We are in an uphill battle right now. 2 counters go on the Jite. Could not force a negation. Wish I could have forced a negation that Tithe. All right, Teferi Time Raveler is an answer. We will be able to bounce the Scarab God, and they will not be able to recast it yet. Unfortunately, there is a Venser in our graveyard right now, which they could activate if they get the Scarab God back down. But Teferi was a pretty nice draw. We'll get an island off the top. I like it. And get back in there with the Knight of Autumn. Did not think Teferi had to have been one of our best top decks for sure. About 5 cards away from Lion Sash still, which can be an answer to Scarab God shenanigans. All right, and Cathar Commando comes down for the opponent. I suspect they're gonna if we attack, they're not gonna block. All right, well, instant speed fractured identity is the name of the game, but I don't think they block here. I think we can attack, and then let's see here. I don't think they block. I think they're gonna attack and try to get 2 more counters on the GT. And then we can fractured identity and instant speed. We know the opponent doesn't have Mana Tithe in hand. And the plan is actually to fractured identity the GT. We just have to deal with it. The Cathar Commando is an answer to our future GT token, but it's still going to be pretty good, as essentially we'll 2-for-1 our opponent, getting rid of both their GT and their Cathar Commando. And we get to take 2 more mana tempo from them. No one expects the instant speed fractured identity. So they're attacking Teferi, which is fine by me. Now they should remove these counters in response. That's why I checked to make sure they weren't attacking us. So they should pump, they should just gain the life here. Yeah, because they will be able to kill Teferi without pumping the Cathar Commando. And then post-combat, I expect them to sack the Cathar Commando to kill our GT token, which we can't stop. But so Teferi down. Heck of a game 2 here. Our opponent is a little stuck on mana with 6 cards in hand. I'm probably not going to try to equip a GT just because they do have Cathar Commando available and I don't want to waste the mana. Oh, they're going to evoke Solitude, exiling Parallax Wave. All right, well, that'll clear our board. We will gain some life, but it's looking like, depending on our top, they got more plays. Then they ephemerate. Oh, all right. I see what's going on here. So they will get to keep their Solitude around, which is basically what that does. At least there was no other targets, and I am not incentivized here to play a creature. Now, I am incentivized to cast an Elspeth, and we will just make a 1/1 token from this. Now, if they want to ephemerate their Solitude to get rid of the token, our Elspeth will live here. Really, they don't have any great choices. Our Elspeth's going to live regardless, because we're either going to have a blocker or we're going to have, they're only going to have 1 attacker. So Solitude goes back to Summoning Sickness. And then I expect Cathar Commando to attack down the Elspeth, and they can still destroy the GT. All right, Esper Sentinel's pretty good play. All right, 3 coming at Elspeth. Makes sense. Land, not the greatest. So let's get this Oracle down. Hopefully get more land drops off the top. Get closer to this Lion Sash. All right, Wandering Emperor. It's a great card. It's going to help for sure. But we cannot play it from the top of our library. And we'll attach the GT here to the soldier token. And if they want to not lose the yeah, they got to sacrifice their Cathar Commando. So Elspeth still able to stick around, which is nice, as I will chump block with the soldier token. We could block with the Oracle and just kill the Solitude. And that might be the better play here. Get this thing off the board. We already have enough lands. We can cast our 6 mana value Archon if we need to. And let's give our soldier token flying, as this is going to help us close out the game. I really want to just close this game out. No reason to play the Wandering Emperor main phase, as I want to get extra activation out of her. Opponent's down to 6. Chupacabra comes out. I don't think we need to force a negation that. I'd rather just get our Samurai creature token down here end of turn. Yeah, so Mox Diamond coming through in the clutch here. I will pay the 1. And we'll make a Samurai creature token here. And that should be game, as we can give our Samurai +1/+1 with the Wandering Emperor and +3/+3 in flying with Elspeth. Whew! Lethal for Xaxes. All right, that was pretty awesome. On to game 3. All right, game 3, we're back on the draw. No changes from the sideboard. I like our choices we had, or I like the cards we have in our deck, and we will keep any starting 7 with Ancestral Recall, that's for sure. All our colors of mana. No acceleration, which is unfortunate, but some utility in this Night Elf Ottoman. Who knows what this Ancestral Recall will draw for us. Odonto Vanguard is a good draw, so I do not want to cast Ancestral right now, as I do not want to be forced to discard. So right now we're looking at turn 2 Odonto Vanguard. We could Ancestral Recall on our opponent's end step, but that would still have us discard 1 card. All right, looks like land go from the opponent. Preordained, nice draw. So we have all the card draw. I really hope this Odonto resolves. It does, as the Odonto is going to put a clock on our opponent. So they crack into our turn, fetch up a Blood Crypt. They're hitting their land drops this turn and a Mana Crypt. So looks like they're up to 5 mana. And what's coming down? Solitude Hardcast. Okay. Well, that gets around Odonto's ability. I'll take it. They could have flashed that out, so who knows. Fencer was another nice draw. Let's get rid of our opponent's Mana Crypt here, as that card is too strong, and I want to keep him off Scarab God mana. Here we are. Who would have expected that we're going to be going into turn 4 with Ancestral Recall still in our hand? So our opponent plays a Karakas and an Esper Sentinel, which Esper Sentinel is going to be annoying here with these draw spells. And then no attacks past the turn. There's a Dam, which is interesting. We could just play Flooded Strand and go, holding up Venser, and then if they commit more to the board, we can just Wrath of God. Our other option is to cast one of these draw spells, but I kind of like the Venser option. Let's see if they play anything into open mana, as hoping to get some more value off this Dam. So they make their 5th land drop and tap out for 5. Custody Lich. Do I want them to become the Monarch? That's a lot of card draw if we let this resolve, as we will not have an attacking creature for quite some time, even if we play Dam after this. So I think this is a Venser target. And then hopefully we can draw some more action off the back of our Ancestral Recall here. All right, Teferi is a great draw. Don't really want to put Solitude back in our opponent's hand, but we can Ancestral here and still have Teferi mana. What I'm thinking about right now, though, is, right, do we want to Dam now? I don't know if we do. Let's draw 3. I will not pay the 1. Actually, I think we can, because it's more likely we will draw a land. We have not played a land for turn yet. Keeping some cards out of our opponent's hand. Okay, we did not draw a land for turn. All right, but we did draw Swords to Plowshares and a Birds of Paradise. So we can get bopped down. And instead of holding up Swords of Plowshares, let's just preordain here. Maybe we'll get another mana source. Ooh, let's see. Do we not need Shelldock? I don't think we do. Elite Spellbinder seems pretty good as well. Though I kind of like Shelldock as well. We're down to 24 cards. So let's at least put the Elite Spellbinder in our hand. Venser's not doing much on defense with that Karakas on our opponent's board. Geist of Saint Traff, also not a great draw with the Karakas on our opponent's board. All right, if Custody Lich comes back down, we have stuff to sacrifice now. So I'll just sacrifice the Venser. And then the plan is, how do we get the Monarch back? We get the Solitude off the battlefield here. Make their Ephemerate a little bit worse if they have it. Our opponent is drawing a card here. I really hope we get a land. That'll just help out. But yeah, it's the Shell Dock. We knew that was coming up. Elspeth's the only card we can put under that makes sense. And we'll be able to play our next turn. So this Elite Spellbinder will be able to get through our opponent's blocker, so we can get the Monarch next turn, and we can hold up Swords to Plowshares. All right, they do have the Scarab God in hand, so let's tax that just a touch. They also have Bob in hand, which is another good source of card draw for them. So the plan here is to attack in the air with the Elite Spellbinder to get the Monarch back. And we can use, let's think here, Swords to Plowshares are our only good answer to the Scarab God. All right, they play Bob. Swords to Plowshares also a good answer to their Custody Lich. Let's just take this here. We have the life to spare. Ooh, I don't know if I like this block. I guess the plan is to dam, but that's one more turn not getting the Monarch back. Because we could have gotten the Monarch back and then held up Swords to Plowshares. It played a Teferi to bounce something. Would have been pretty good. So I guess this will just wipe the board, which will be fine. Do we pay the 1? Do we pay around Mana Tithe? Yeah, I don't think they drew it. They just have the Scarab God in hand. And then, so it's just a lot slower. They are going to be drawing cards. Swords to Plowshares will deal with the Scarab God as long as they don't leave their Caracas up. So what I think we'll have to do is to play Teferi to try to like bounce their Scarab God. Yeah, so they're going to protect their Scarab God with Caracas, which is smart. They're drawing a lot of cards over here. So we can play Teferi to bounce the Scarab God. It's just going to eat up a lot of their time trying to get this Scarab God to resolve. And we do have Elspeth here under Shell Dock, which is pretty nice. So we can do that now and still hold up Swords. So I'm liking our position here a little bit. Our opponent is drawing a lot of cards off the Monarch, which is unfortunate. Let's get Elspeth down, plus her up, make a token. And we'll pass the turn back. Expecting Scarab God to come back down. He does. And our opponent does have mana to activate it. So Fencer's in the yard. Fencer's a pretty good one. So is Elite Spellbinder. So is Custody Lich. They have a lot of options here. I need them to tap this Caracas. All right, that's a good answer. As we can go to Palace Jailer, get the Monarch, which would be sweet. And then they'll likely return Scarab God to their hand with Caracas in response, and then we can Swords to Plowshares this Scarab God. This will get us the Monarch, which is super nice. And if they Caracas here, they can't activate Scarab God's ability. I wonder if instead they Venser, and they Venser their own Scarab God back to hand or something like that. I'm still going to Swords to Plowshares in response. This is a pretty complicated and crazy board state and super fun. All right, looks like our opponent is going to activate Scarab God in response. Yep, they're going to Venser. And then we can Swords to Plowshares in response to their activation, since the Caracas is now tapped. We could have waited and seen what they would have Vensered. Now they'll probably Venser the Palace Jailer, maybe? I don't know. I don't know what they want to Venser, to be honest with you. So they Venser the Elspeth. Okay, that's fine. We still get the Monarch back, which is super sweet. We'll plus Teferi here. And we have no attacks. Wandering Emperor was a pretty sweet draw. Can our opponent get through to take the Monarch back? We have 2 blockers, and we will snap block for sure. All right, Gideon can't attack this turn. Probably a target for the Wandering Emperor, to be honest with you, since it'll exile. That exile ability for the Wandering Emperor is not irrelevant. All right, we will chump block here. We'll just chump with the soldier token. Looks like our opponent has a play second main. What you got, opponent? Got a 5 mana value spell, whatever it is. Okay, just kidding. Undo. Oh yeah, go to main phase. Okay, they were in the end of combat. They got excited. Got excited. I do that too sometimes. Get excited. Gideon Jura. All right. Gideon Tribal over there. So Gideon will plus. All right. We got 2 Gideons to deal with here now. Skyclave, don't care about that. It can't block. How are we going to deal with these Gideons? Now, we can play the Geist here. That's really just going to fall to the Caracas. But I just wanted to play something because I want to look like I'm doing something with my mana. Our plan here is to flash in the Wandering Emperor to exile Gideon Blackblade. The Fairy is likely not long for this world. All right, so they're going to make Gideon a 6/6, aggressive, but I get it. It's a lot of power coming at us for sure. We did, don't worry, we did also draw Fractured Identity off the Monarch, which is insane. You have a Gideon? No, I have a Gideon. Look at me. I am the captain now. So they are attacking Teferi with the Skyclave Shade. I do want to exile Gideon Blackblade though. Get out of here, Gideon. Small Gideon. And if we block the Skyclave with the Geist, we will keep Teferi around, which Teferi could bounce. Oh yeah, so they put their own Gideon back in their hand. All right. So Teferi could bounce the Venser token, get rid of that. But since now that they've tapped their Caracas, we have a lot of options. So I expect they'll replay Gideon here. I don't know if that was right to let Teferi die, because the Caracas is just going to bounce our Geist repeatedly. Our opponent did take the Monarch back, which is good to note. Okay. Land off the top was fine. We will +1. Probably should +1 on the Palace Jailer, but I guess we'll just throw a counter on the Geist here. Again, I think that Geist is going to get bounced first opportunity. But we can take care of Gideon Blackblade, which is nice. And the Fractured Identity can take care of the other Gideon, and we're going to be in a commanding position here. Probably should have attacked with the Palace Jailer. We're leaving it back to block right now, but we could, you know, we're going to plus on Big Gideon, which means our Wandering Emperor is going to be safe. So attacking with Palace Jailer there would have gotten our Monarch back. So definitely a punt on our side. So, because we could have the Monarch right now. 2 blockers though. 2 blockers is nice. And 3 planeswalkers, even nicer. I don't know if our opponent can deal with this much value, to be honest with you. Give Her Runes, not going to do it. This is an epic, epic game. You can always tell how good a game is by how many cards are in the graveyard. I mean, we're both down to the low teens in our libraries. So plus on Gideon again. Give our Jazz flying. I do expect them to Caracas our Geist here, to be honest with you. Regardless, even if they bounce the Geist, we get the Angel token, so that was a mistake on their end. They definitely should have bounced before we attacked, but it is what it is. Good old, 12 points of damage coming at you, opponent. Well, Archon on Sorcery here. And we can get the Lion Sash down as well, which means if they have any graveyard shenanigans, we can respond to it. Get the Monarch back. It's kind of all in our favor right now. Not sure how they get around Big Gideon, to be honest. Even if they have a board wipe, these Planeswalkers are going to recur value very quickly. Okay, Flicker Wisp. Not that great on this board. They don't have any good ETBs. I mean, they could flicker our Soldier token, but... Okay, they can flicker the Gideon, which was a token, so that was smart. Still have 2 Planeswalkers on the battlefield here. Attacking us, giving it protection from white. All right. We can Lion Sash here, but that will cost us a life. So the Wandering Emperor can downtick for us to gain 2 life. Or we can put a counter on something. The Geist of Saint Draft is not a blocker. Well, I guess I totally forgot Geist has hexproof. Okay. Oh, geez, chill. Geist is Caracas proof. All right, that's a punt for saying that wrong throughout this whole match. Geist a lot better against Caracas than I gave him credit for. All right, Lion Sash getting big here as we're doing the Lion Sash things. A lot of damage coming at our opponent. Math is for blockers. What is this, though? It's going to be 10 plus... Oh, they have to chump. And Archon having Vigilance is pretty cool, but this is over 20 damage. So they do chump with the Flicker Wisp. They should block the Geist, yeah. Okay. They've seen enough. That was an epic match. Thanks for hanging. Thanks for chilling with me here. And MTGO Vintage Cube is right around the corner here in June, and I can't wait to see y'all in some games.